Hello and welcome to Around the ICC. I'm Matteo Bonetti, and today we'll look ahead to the US men's national team and why I'm so excited about their future. I'll give you my biggest dark horses for the upcoming Euros this summer and go over some of the biggest storylines from the World Cup qualifiers. And finally, I'll give you guys my best Euro starting lineup. It's an amazing one. So let's start off with the US men's national team and sing a chant that I think most fans will know. I believe that we will have a good shot of going far in the 2026 World Cup. The US men's national team was able to beat Jamaica 4-1 in last week's international friendly and followed that up with another win against Northern Ireland. But the main point isn't about friendlies, it's about how they'll do in the future World Cups and major tournaments with such a good young core of players. And it seems now that every weekend you now see a young American pulling what the kids now call a madness at a very good European club. I mean, just look at the lineup put out by Greg Berhalter in recent times. There's so much youth. And that's the most exciting thing. This is very much a golden generation now brewing with the US, with a group of mostly under 25 players all getting a chance to play at the highest level, whether it's a top 5 European league or even the Champions League. These are players that are competing against some of the best in the world. And what's even more promising is that we're seeing some of these big clubs looking at MLS youth systems as a breeding ground of talent. I mean, just look at what FC Dallas has done, developing players like Weston McKennie, who's now a big part of the Juventus midfield, or even Brian Reynolds, who forced a few Serie A clubs to fight for his services, ultimately ending up at Roma. But whether it's Christian Pulisic, who's getting more time now at Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel, or the Bundesliga pair of Josh Sargent and Gio Reyna, who led the line against Jamaica, or how about the 18-year-old Yunus Musa, who committed to playing with the US and is already at Valencia, a team that battles every single year for a top 4 spot in La Liga. And it isn't just the front line. The center back, John Brooks, for example, is the leader of a defensive unit at Wolfsburg that has the second best defensive record in the Bundesliga, only having conceded 23 goals. While the fullback, Serginho Dest, is coming into his own at Barcelona, having even scored a brace for them last week in La Liga, and even scoring midweek against Jamaica. But the point is, this is a team now that has talent all over in every single department, and it's a group that collectively is going to reach their peak right around the same time, right around the 2026 World Cup, which kicks off, by the way, in North America. And almost as important, I think the US will offer more of a threat to Mexico and CONCACAF than at any other stage in recent times, and really try to turn the balance of one of the most heated rivalries in world football in their favor. Let's talk World Cup qualifiers in Europe, as we just had a series of games that gave us some takeaways from some of the usual top nations, maybe some a little bit more disappointing. Let's look at top-ranked Belgium. They struggled quite a bit against the Czech Republic and only managed a 1-1 draw. The manager, Roberto Martinez, was visibly frustrated throughout this game as his side, which still has so much talent despite not having the likes of the injured Eden Hazard, they weren't really able to maintain a good possession or create constant chances. Remember that Belgium is one of these teams that hasn't won a major trophy, and there's so much hype around them, and rightfully so, given the individual quality of their starting 11. Let's move over, though, to Portugal, which gave us some of the biggest drama from the weekend as a last-second Cristiano Ronaldo goal that seemed to have crossed the line wasn't given. This means that Portugal only picked up 1 point against Serbia. And just to top it all off, Cristiano Ronaldo, who thought he had scored that goal in the final seconds, was so upset that he walked off the pitch before the final whistle. It's not something you normally see, and certainly not something you normally see from Cristiano Ronaldo. The Netherlands, meanwhile, who have a good young talented core, were dismantled by Turkey, losing 4-2. More on Turkey in a minute, by the way. They lost 4-2, putting plenty of pressure once again on their boss, Frank de Boer, who hasn't exactly done well with his last few jobs managing in soccer. Meanwhile, Spain, after only drawing 1-1 against Greece, managed a last-second winner against low-ranked Georgia by way of Dani Olmo, who had a good strike from outside the box, but they prevented a really dire start to their World Cup qualifying campaign, as they only picked up, or would have picked up, 2 points from those 2 games where they were heavily favored. So a huge last-second goal to take some pressure off of Spain. One of the biggest fads of every major tournament is picking the dark horse, and for a while it was Belgium that was the dark horse until they became, a top-ranked nation that went mainstream with a slew of superstars across the board. So let's scratch Belgium out right now. I'm here to give you guys true dark horses to watch out for in upcoming tournaments. My first pick underdog, though, of Euro 2020 is Turkey. Just look at what Turkey did in their Euro qualification group with the likes of France, Iceland, and Albania. They were able to beat France 2-0 at home and play really well, and then they drew 1-1 away to the reigning World Cup champions. Turkey's still led by the 35-year-old legend Burak Yilmaz, but has a lot of talent around him in the midfield. Watch out for the sharpshooting Hakan Çalhanoğlu, the talented attacker Yusuf Yazidze, and the calm, deep-lying playmaker Ozan Tufan. And their defense is no joke either, as they have a talented center-back pair of Juventus' aggressive Mary Demiral and Ozan Kabak, who just recently signed with Liverpool, to add to Çağlar Söyüncü of Leicester City. So just to give you an idea of the future potential of this Turkey team. The other nation that I've picked out is Sweden, and a lot of it has to do with the return of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. You see, Zlatan's nearly 40 years old, but he's averaging a goal a game this season with Milan, and he's become a big reason why the Rossoneri have achieved so much domestic success this season. So any talk of Zlatan losing a step is just ridiculous. His goal scoring record has always been amazing, and he has shown no signs whatsoever of becoming less effective in the final third. And with Zlatan, Sweden finally has a world-class goal scorer to put in front of other dangerous players like the creative Emil Forsberg of RB Leipzig or Juventus' quick winger Dejan Kulusevski. Sweden is in a tough group though, with Spain, Poland, and Slovakia, but don't be surprised if they make plenty of noise at this upcoming Euro. Alright, it is time for my best Euro starting 11 from this summer's upcoming tournament, and it's really a who's who of world-class superstars. Let's start in goal though, and we have none other than Belgium's Thibaut Courtois, who's also been amazing recently at Real Madrid. He's going to be hoping to guide this golden generation of Belgian players to a major trophy. Let's move on though to the back line. Of course, anchored by World Cup and Euro winning Sergio Ramos of Spain. And then you're going to get a little bit younger with Portugal's Ruben Dias, who has really broken out this season under Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. Moving on to the third of those center-back trio, and it is the Dutch defender Matthijs de Ligt. Now, the only reason I didn't go with Virgil van Dijk is because it's still questionable whether or not he's going to have a part at the Euros because of the injury that he picked up quite a long time ago. Let's move on, though, to the midfield, and you have to start with the incredibly versatile German Joshua Kimmich, who will provide a lot of versatility in the midfield, a huge part of the German national team. Doesn't matter where you play him, you can always count on him doing very well. Getting a little bit more creative now, and it is Portugal's Bruno Fernandes pulling all the strings for a very interesting Portuguese side. The box-to-box work is going to be done by Italy's Nicolo Barella of Inter, who's become one of my favorite players this season at Inter, and he's becoming one of the world's best midfielders. Yes, that's right, Nicolo Barella. If you don't know him, go check him out. The second Belgian on my list in the starting 11 is Kevin De Bruyne. Of course, it has to be one of the silkiest, smoothest, most creative and intelligent attacking midfielders. But just wait, if you're getting excited, moving on to the front line, it is stacked. There's just so much talent at the Euros. The lightning quick Kylian Mbappe is going to be on my right-hand side. He's 22 years old, and he's already won a World Cup with France in 2018 and scored 16 goals already for his country. Down the middle, Robert Lewandowski leads the line, and it's a no-brainer, guys. I mean, the Polish hitman might smash the single-season Bundesliga scoring record this season with Bayern Munich, and he's also Poland's all-time leading goal scorer and all-time leading cap player, and by a large margin as well, the best Polish player of all time. And finally, we end the starting 11 with Portugal's once-in-a-generation superstar Cristiano Ronaldo, who will make headlines in every major tournament that he plays. Anyway, thanks for joining us once again on this week's episode of Around the ICC. I'm Matteo Bonetti, and you can follow me at Bonetti on Twitter. Also follow the ICC on social media. It's at INT Champions Cup on Twitter and at International Champions Cup on both Facebook and Instagram. Please share this content if you liked it. We'll see you next week.